My project is about the ethical dilemmas of autonomous cars and programming them.
My project's about Aboriginal Australian languages, so I'm kind of talking about why they're in danger and maybe some of the issues with how to prevent that in the future.
My project's about the benefits that dog walking can bring to the older population and relating it to health and mental well-being, and also the benefit to the dogs as well.
So my project is on what are the social impacts of Israel's West Bank barrier on Palestinian youth. I made an artifact out of it, so I made a video animation and then used that to answer my question.
So my project's about the impact on drone technology by 2030.
So my project is about to what extent did Jacqueline Kennedy have a transformative impact on the role of First Lady. So I'm looking at 3 different areas in which she showed a transformative impact, particularly culturally and socially.
Well, I was really interested in artificial intelligence already, but when I first started researching, I found the term artificial intelligence was very broad, so I decided to narrow that down after watching a TED talk on the issue.
I studied it because I was really interested in it, because it was something really different to what I was learning about, and I really wanted to sort of know something that I wasn't really familiar with. It was a really new topic for me to explore.
I feel it's really topical because we've got an ageing population and there's so much pressure on the NHS with hip replacements. I mean, $2 billion cost annually for hip replacements every year, and that's due to increase shortly. So just benefits to stop this and this pressure.
I have grown up seeing lots of footage on this conflict, specifically on the Palestine-Israel conflict, and while it's something that comes up in like BBC News, British news channels, it's not something that features a lot as much as, like, let's say, you know, local national stuff. But because of my dad being, he's an Arab himself and he watches a lot of Arabic news channels, I've seen it quite a lot, and so I've always been really interested to learn more about it.
So I'm interested in doing aeronautical engineering at university, so this initially interested me, and after further research I discovered that drone technology is actually advancing quite a lot, more than society thinks. So I did it to put across the message of how much it is actually developing and what conclusion I can draw from this.
I've always been fascinated about American politics, and I've also found the Kennedys very compelling as a family. There seems to be quite a mystique around the whole Kennedy family, and I wanted to explore particularly one person of that family, and I thought, who not better but the image herself, Jacqueline Kennedy.
It was all interesting, but when I was researching about the responsible party, so in a car crash, should the car choose to swerve and hit a biker wearing a helmet or a biker not wearing a helmet, obviously the safer option would be hitting the biker with a helmet, but that seems counterproductive because the person wearing a helmet has made an active decision to reduce their own risk.
I found it really interesting about how much history of Australia really impacts Australians' politics, and how much prejudice, even if you don't believe it, really can impact the way that we view how endangered a language can be.
I think that the benefits to the dogs as well, because you wouldn't think that dogs would have mental health, so seeing that they also benefit from being out, and a lot of dogs are cooped in the day, so that's really interesting.
One thing that I learned is that there's a thing called Military Order 101. They are specific orders by the military which are followed. So like one of them is basically the freedom of expression and association isn't allowed under the military order, even though Israel is part of human rights. That was a really extreme thing, because that means that Palestinians aren't allowed to protest, which is a big deal because they do that a lot, which is why so many get arrested.
The most interesting fact would probably be by 2030 there will be over 76,000 drones in UK skies, which is quite a shocking number because it's actually really big, and you wouldn't think that either.
An interesting fact we found was the reason why she wore her pillbox hats, and she wanted wanted to wear something that wouldn't hide her face, but obviously for the time they needed to wear hats. So for kind of image point of view, she wanted to wear something that wouldn't show her face and she'd be able to show her face off. She'd also wear sunglasses because she wanted to view the crowds but not seem as if she was staring.
Just the independence of the project, it was very different from anything that we'd done before. We could research something that we found really interesting, and along with help from our supervisors, so I found that really good.
My favourite part was doing the reading about the Aboriginal fiction. Some of the stories and poems that was done are really, really beautiful, and it kind of transports you to a new land.
Getting the board done, because it's just seeing the whole project all displayed and summarised, and you just feel complete.
100% making the animation. It was very difficult, I must say, but like the actual process of making it was really interesting to learn how to animate, try to learn how to animate. So yeah, that was probably the best part.
My favourite part was probably the initial research, because you're finding out so many more new facts that you didn't know before, and it's just like learning new knowledge that you wouldn't have time to otherwise if you didn't do an EPQ.
It was probably research on all the clothing actually. I've always loved fashion, and I really enjoyed understanding the cuts and the styles of her dresses, what was the importance and the relevance of them. Oleg Cassini designed the dresses to be fashionable all the way around the dress, so whatever angle she was photographed at, it made sure that she was looking fantastic from all angles.